to the podcast. Day one, first one. What do you think, babe?
It's kind of a lot. It was kind of a lot to get going, and here it is. And now it's like that fear and anxiety is kind of gone because you just got to go for it, right?
Yeah, considering I stutter, so the podcast is not usually the best thing for me, but tackling my fears and insecurities, as you would say, being uncomfortable with being uncomfortable.
No, it's being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
See, I got that wrong, so I'm not very good at that.
It's okay. I know what you meant. That's all that matters.
So we are in our backyard right now, and we moved into this property. It's on the ranch. We have about 2 acres of pecans. We moved here about 3 years ago, and we are enjoying this lovely day that we have out here. And Bree and my sister-in-law set it up, and totally normal. We got our coffee table in the middle of the patio, 2 chairs that never belong outside, but we're doing this. So
we made the best of what we had, because I had every intention to go and buy a full setup, but I knew that would cause another tiff or fight that was probably not necessary for my Friday. But so we improvised and started with this, and we'll see how it goes. I have every intention to change it for episode 2, just to keep you on your toes.
So I guess the main question is, why did we start this? That's what I get a lot from my clients and friends is, why are we doing this podcast?
Well, I think that it was a long time coming, honestly. I feel like we've been talking about it for a while. That is something we just needed to do because people find our lives, and to be honest with you, the shit show that we live, entertaining. And it's real. And I feel like we're always keeping people on our toes, just moving and shaking and starting some new venture while we're wrapping up the last one. And I feel like that's something that draws people's interest and kind of wanting to know your why behind everything. Sometimes it's just because, but in this case, we were kind of pushed out of our comfort zone to do it because of a business marketing and sales class that we are taking. It's actually initiated as Wake Up Warrior. Mark did it for his business and just life in general. And it worked hand in hand with NBR, Natural Beta-Row Extension Method, that I pursued back in 2019. And now the two have kind of collided, and the husband and wife, the creator of Wake Up Warrior and Natural Beta-Row Extension Method, started a business marketing and sales class for salon owners and stylists. And so we went for it. And my homework assignment this last month was start a podcast. So here we are, along with a lot of other things that I swore I would never do homework again after I graduated high school. And I can not say that I did very much homework anyways to begin with then.
Well, you have a lot of people doing your homework for you now, like you did in high school. That's
not entirely true. Well, in high school, I did my homework.
Well, what was that? What was that one class you told the kid you go to prom with them if you did your homework? If you did your homework?
He didn't do my homework. He helped me with my homework, and I did go back for his senior year and went to prom with him, and that's rude. I held up my part of the bargain. I needed help, and he was happy that he didn't have to ask someone to prom. No, I took care of that.
That's what I respect. I respect that.
Yeah, no, it worked out well for me. And as far as people doing my homework for me now, I feel like we pay people to, do my accounting. If it's, inserting accounting into a spreadsheet, I feel like I'm already paying somebody to do that. Why would I do their job and my job?
I mean, you've always been a leader. That's what it sounds like.
I guess. I'm a good delegator, right? I can delegate jobs, no problem. And I'm not a micromanager. I have no problem to tell somebody to get something done. And you can do it freely however you want. I just need it done, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
that's true.
I feel like if I didn't do hair, I would be a general contractor.
Yes.
I kind of am a general contractor without the GC licensing.
Yeah, without going through the
schooling.
Schooling. Yeah.
Hey, it worked for me though. Okay, so what do you tell your clients when they're like, "Hey, why did you start this?" or "What are you doing this for?"
It's actually this kind of same thing. I've been meaning to do one for a while. Not meaning, but I've been told to do one for a while by Wake Up Warrior, and you did the class, and you're like, we're going to do it. So I was forced into it. And I'm actually kind of excited because it's like you said, it's pushed me outside my comfort zone to sit here and talk about our life and things that we have been through and are going through. It's uncomfortable, but I know it's going to make us better and make me better. So,
amen to that. I like that. Well, I think a question I get asked a lot is, are you and Mark high school sweethearts? And to clarify, no. We went to high school together. We went to junior high together, and we went to elementary school together. But we did not start dating till your 4th year of college, if you could call it that.
That's when my body and my looks peaked, I think, was then. Because before I had like acne, I was skinny, I was hairy chested, stuttered like a lot more, and Bree wasn't into that. So I tried to hit on her a couple times at a party, but she never knew who I was. So.
OMG, I did know who you were. I was busy. So no, we dated 2005. We started dating, got married in 2006, only 11 months after dating.
What do you think, because we have 3 daughters, what do you think if one of our daughters came to us after 11 months
of dating?
No, not even dating. We got engaged in what, like
4 months later.
Yeah, 4 months after dating. What would you say now to that?
If they wanted to get married after only dating someone 4 months, I'd be like, girl, no, make your own money first. Yeah. Live a little, travel a little.
But you were making your own money back then.
I was on the accelerated adulthood program. I was ready to make money and buy a house and all those things while my friends were going to college. But I knew that wasn't for me. I don't know. I really felt focused, and I knew what I wanted. And what I wanted was to start building the life I truly wanted, which was be married and own my own businesses and, pursue all the rest in between.
So what was the fatal night that it all came together and how we met?
The fatal night?
Yeah. Or what would be the fatal? That's
not the right word.
No,
yeah.
Well, it's kind of the end of your life that night. Or would it be the...
What do you mean? Like the deciding factor that I was like, oh, this is the guy?
Yep. What was the night?
Oh, okay. I can say when you left to go back to college, I didn't want you to go. So that made me, realize, okay, I kind of like him more than just like him. And then when you did come back, so we met around Thanksgiving break. Mm-hmm. You were here on Thanksgiving break. I was actually on a date when I ran into him.
Well, a little backstory to that. I was at home with a couple buddies, and my mom goes, hey, I ran into this girl named Bree, and I did not know Bree at the time as Bree. I knew her as Brianna. And so I was like, okay. And she goes, yeah, she's a cute blonde, and she wants to marry a baseball player. At the time I was playing baseball in college. And I was like, okay, like whatever. And that night, me and my buddy went to a place here in town, and she happened to come in, and she was with a guy on a date. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the girl my mom was talking about. So I went and said hi and all that. And then his friends came, and then she came over to us, started talking to us because she was kind of not into his friends, so kind of hung out. And she left. My buddy goes, she's pretty hot. And I'm like, yeah, she's cool, whatever. And I was trying to play it off. And then the next night was the Fresno State USC game when Reggie Bush went off for like 600 yards, and bumped into her again.
I don't know Reggie Bush or 600 yards, but yeah, that probably happened. If you guys listen to this, you should remember, I think it was 2005. Yes. November 2005. November 19th. Yes. So then after he left for Thanksgiving break to go back to school in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, coming home, it was like, okay, well, I kind of want to spend a lot of time with this guy. And then I don't think that we were apart after that, except for when you had to go back to school a couple months in between. So committed, and I would say in love by December. Mm-hmm.
Forced to say I love you.
No, dumb. Then we got engaged on my 21st birthday, actually. Mark surprised me coming home from Chico. I thought he was catching, and he was in Fresno contemplating how he was going to propose to me that night on my 21st birthday. So It seemed rather fast, but I think looking back now, we were so young, but I was very positive of what I wanted to do in my life, and my parents never really questioned that. They let me figure it out. They let me fail. They let me succeed. They encouraged me along the way, and I feel like there's something to be said about that. And I want the same for our kids. I want to do that for them and encourage them. And it's okay to make mistakes and look back and say, well, I learned from that, or wow, I should have seen that one coming, because I feel like that's kind of what molds us to be who we are, And then we got married in October of 2006 and had the grand idea we were going to open a business the first year we got married, with no money, no experience, and still trying to figure out even like who's going to sleep on what side of the bed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So it's funny, at 21 years old, as you're hanging light fixtures in the salon, we are watching our friends line up at Old Town Saloon.
Which is like across the street from our salon. You can see all the bars right there.
It's one of the bars, and we're like, what did we do wrong? And meanwhile, there was nothing really I could do to help Mark at that time. I was just sweeping and being critical of what level to hang the light at, and
which I'd never owned a power tool in my life at this point, and didn't know how to do anything. And so I had to learn it all on the fly, and
we did. We had some great mentors that helped us and guided us, and then and they actually advised us, we really don't recommend you opening a business right now. We were just about to hit the housing crisis of 2008, and we're like, nope, we're going to do it. So we opened our salon December 17th, 2007, and my very first client, I remember, sat in my chair. She was the owner of the salon I used to work at, and I still to this day do her hair, and that was really special. But oh my God, did we learn all the things there was to learn in business and marriage, and just trying to hold it all together and juggle all the things. Meanwhile, Mark, you were building your career and clientele and basically starting from the ground up. So we kind of started all of that all at the same time. In the first year we were married.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we got bills and all kinds of stuff that we didn't know. We have health insurance.
Oh,
and
yeah.
all that stuff.
Live and learn.
What is that?
I could tell you one of the greatest things I wish we had done from day one, but what I learned from and learned hard was hire a good accountant. Whatever the price is, hire a good accountant. And being now at this point open in business a year, maybe it was year 2 years.
Yeah, I think we just bought the house.
Yeah.
First house.
We got our first tax bill that was like, what? They must have made a mistake. He had too many zeros.
Yeah.
I remember Mark calling me. He's like, okay, well, I need to talk to you. And it's not.
I was crying.
Yeah, he was crying. It was not good news. But he's like, Bart just sent over our tax returns and it's not looking good. I said, okay, what's it? Like, drop the bomb. And we owed what, $28,000?
$36,000.
Oh,
Bree's never been good at math, but she can make a lot of money. So he called me and we paid $4,500 in quarterlies that year. We just bought our first house, and we had a loan, or we took out a loan for the salon to build it and did all that, and so we were paying back that pretty heavy, but didn't put enough away for taxes and didn't do corporations and all that stuff, and we got to hit what he said we owe 36, and I said 100. He goes 1,000, and I started crying. And I was hyperventilating, so I called my dad, and I couldn't get it out, so I finally told him, and he goes, well, if anybody can figure it out, it's gonna be you and Bree. And he hangs up on me. And then I call Bree, and then I did my first ever spreadsheet ever.
Yeah. And that might have been your first and only.
First only, yeah. I think we had like 96 days to pay it back without interest or whatever, and
we did it. We did it. We lived to tell about it. But holy cow, how we underestimated the importance of having all those ducks in a row. And then, you know what? That's like the greatest advice I feel like I give any stylist that comes in our salon. Figure out your taxes and figure it out early. Because when you have to figure it out the hard way, it didn't feel so good. Yeah. But we did it. And yeah, we bought a house, 1 year after in business. And then year 2, we hit the tax crisis, and then we kind of felt the urge, should we have kids, should we travel? And we decided it was best for us to travel, and then we kind of questioned even having kids. And so we were married 7 years before we decided, okay, let's go ahead and add to this family. And I found out I was pregnant with Matea. And like everything else in life, I was like, I'm going to find out what this baby is sooner than most people. Who do we got to know? What do I got to do? And so at 12 weeks, we found out we were having a little girl. And Mark came to a really quick realization that his entire life was about to change. And he knew nothing about it.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was gonna be for the better. I was like, I don't think I've never been around girls.
Yeah, so we had a crazy first trimester. It was an easy pregnancy though. Pregnancy's not something I love, but it flew by, I feel like. And I remember driving home from the hospital. It was kind of ironic. We get in the car and we look at each other and we're like, holy crap. We said some other words too. And Mark's like, they just let you leave the hospital with a baby? Like, I have to take all these classes and have this permit to carry a gun, and they're just going to let me leave with this human. And I remember pulling down the street of our house, and he just looks at me. He's like, what the hell are we going to do? And we just are bawling in the front yard.
Yeah, I put the car in park in the middle of the cul-de-sac, and I looked at Bree, and I was like, they let us take a effing baby home. They didn't even, like, check my car. They didn't check my home. I was like, this is ours forever now.
Yeah.
This is like, it was pretty a surreal moment.
And hopefully you figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they didn't teach us how to do anything. And but like everything else you figure out, right?
Totally. We did it. And she was awesome. We didn't know if we wanted another. We thought we might be one and done. When she was 5 years old, God had a different plan for us. So we ended up pregnant with Selah, and it was, kind of a breeze. She was an awesome baby. But, we literally delivered Selah May 23rd. And 10 days later, our financial advisor calls us and he's like, hey, I think I found your guys' next home. I was like, okay, well, we weren't exactly house shopping. But he says, yeah, it's not for sale. We're like, okay, well, thanks a lot, Brody. He said, well, the guy said they might be selling soon. When they're ready, he'd let me know.
This is also how pretty much everything in Bree's life is done. Like, so they have a lot. They have a lot in common. Like, it's pretty much like, yeah, it's not a yes, but it's not a no yet. So
100%.
Yeah.
So it's probably a yes.
Yeah.
So then, a week later, he sees the guy at church and he's like, hey, we found a property we're actually going to sell. So Brody says, oh, can my friends see it first? That was Sunday. Monday, I called the guy. He said, yeah, come on over. We come and see it Tuesday. We brought our family Wednesday. We made an offer Thursday. They accepted Friday. And the following Friday, we sold our house. I think we had like 17 offers on our house.
Yeah.
And my realtor, who is one of Mark's best friends, he's like, you guys are never going to get that. Okay, whatever, Bree, I'm writing it, blah, blah, blah. They list it, and we just had a flood of people come through the house in the first 3 days. By the way, now with like a 2-week-old, we are having to hang out at my sister's house down the street all day because there were showings like every 15 minutes, back to back, back to back. And he came over that night, and he's like, all right, we have multiple offers. Which ones do you want to hear? We're like, well, don't you want to hear all of them? And then when he drops the offers on the table, it's like, whoa, that was a lot. And it looked like we were moving. So, we did, we had 30 days to rent back, I think. So we ended up being in the house 60 days extra. So then we started tearing apart the new house. And in the midst of that, realized, okay, we can't live here while we do that. So we moved in with Mark's mom and brother. And I don't recommend that to maintain a healthy marriage, but we learned from that one too. Much like the tax bill, that one kind of hit us a little hard. So we figured out how to renovate at an accelerated pace, and living with the in-laws taught us a lot about ourselves, and just learning how to work through things and communicate, and it wasn't exactly ideal. I learned that Mark does not perform well under that kind of pressure, and renovating is not his love language like it is mine. Back then, yes.
Now might be different.
Yes, now might be different.
I couldn't do this podcast 3 years ago or 4 years ago, however long ago. But that's why we're here, though, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of that is why we're here doing the podcast.
Totally. So when we felt like everything was falling apart, and the world we did not know was coming to, 2020 and what all that was going to bring. We just got to a place where we said, okay, enough's enough. No matter what the condition is of the house, we're moving in December 15th. I actually told Mark, I'm moving into the house December 15th with my children. And you can join me or not, but I will be doing that. So I called his dad. I said, hey, I'm moving this weekend. I need your help. And pretty much that was it. Mark's like, yeah, okay, I'll move in with you. So, in the chaos of it all, though, it all worked out. We were home for Christmas in our home. Yep. We did not have countertops, and we only had running water in one bathroom.
Yep.
And, our house is, 2,900 square feet, and there was maybe 2 rooms that were livable. We only had one kitchen sink. Most people only have one kitchen sink, but we only had running water in the kitchen sink and one bathroom. So it was rather interesting. And then, basically, the next 3 months, I just realized there was a big shift that was meant to happen in my business, in my hair business anyways, and that would affect the salon as a whole and mine and Mark's marriage dramatically. And so I just basically came to Mark and said, I feel like we're in a place where you need to step away from the salon a bit and give me some space there to lead and take this in a different direction than we had first planned or even anticipated. I didn't even really see that coming until I went to my NBR course in November of 2019. And by February of 2020, it was just okay, we got to make a shift and we got to do it soon. And I was desperate for it. It's either Mark's going to move out or Mark has to move out of the business.
Yeah, I think that's one of the challenging things when you're in business with your spouse is that you live with your business partner, right? Whereas other people have business partners and they can, not agree with them, do those kind of things, and then then they go home and you see them tomorrow, right? You can kind of cool down. When you live with that person, I'm that type of person that's gonna just stop, I'll talk to you tomorrow about it. It's I like to just keep putting the fork in, and that's something that I think for me ruined a lot of our businesses, or I know it ruined a lot of our businesses, but was that I just couldn't let it go and just move on from whatever it might be. And so I think that's for us, or for me, stepping away was probably the best thing in the moment. I didn't realize it at the time, but that's probably one of the biggest things I see with couples that are in business together, right, is you got to separate it and not take it home with you so much.
Yeah, totally. It's like couch time when you want to talk about numbers and rent and whatever is not so sexy. When you want to sit and talk about life and communicate and have a glass of wine together, that's more fun. Mm-hmm. But a lot of nights we came home with heavy topics of conversation and then still trying to be present for your kids and make the right choices for them. Yeah. And really when the business and visions are shifting and all of that is heavy on your heart, it's really hard to be in the moment and present in the things that are important at that time also. Yeah. And so I remember we had a little come to Jesus meeting with our pastor on our kitchen or on our living room couch, and he and his wife came over, and they're beautiful people, JR and Deidre Coleman. And Deidre looked at me and she said, Bree, even when you don't want to, God called you to pray for your husband. And I looked at her and I was like, all right, lady, that is not what I want to do today. I was ready for him to move out. Mm-hmm. And I just said, okay, I'm going to be obedient. I'm a God-fearing woman. And that's what I'm called to do. So I'm going to rise above my own feelings and emotions, and I'm going to do this. And I remember going to bed that night, and I felt God just urge something in me that was I want you to get on your knees and pray for him, because I know that's going to be so hard for you right now. I was like, all right, I'll go in our one working bathroom. I got on my knees and I prayed, and I remember God just bringing these words to me. He says, he needs relief. He needs relief. And so I called my sister the next day and I told her, and she's just like, well, I think I need to move in and help out a little bit. If you know Becca and my husband, their relationship is not exactly, they don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, and because they talk to each other like brother and sister. And so for me to tell Mark, I not only want you to move out of the business, I'm going to move Becca in to help me. I felt like if he was going to send him into a spiral for sure. And so the next day in the moment, I said, Mark, I just feel like God's telling me you need relief. And the only way to give that to you is to ask you to leave and step away. And I just felt like emotionally, mentally, physically, everything immediately changed about you. Like I could just see the weight lifted off of you. And in that moment, I felt like that was God's confirmation, like, hey, this is really why we are doing this the way that we're doing it. And it's not in your timing, it's my timing. And we had to have that complete shift for us to really move forward and succeed in the business, because then that was February of 2020 and March of 2020. We were told we were non-essential and to close our doors and forget your livelihood, because that doesn't matter. What matters is all this other chaos that's going on in the world, and you don't get a say.
Yeah.
And so we had to pony up and we had to figure it out, and we did. But we could do that together as partners in life and not business partners, which drug out to be something like a fight constantly. Don't you think?
Yeah, I didn't realize we were getting into this on the episode 1, but yeah, we'll get into all of it. When that happened, when I was asked to step away, it's one of those things where me and you have built something and done these things for so long, and to kind of be like, oh, you're not that you're not a part of it anymore, but you're not needed, for probably better. It was like kind of was a punch to the gut. And so it took me a while, and we were doing, we were remodeling the salon and doing all that, and didn't really have any say in it, and it was just kind of like Bree and Becca were going with it, and I was kind of just on my own. I was kind of doing my own thing, and I think that's when was for me at the pit of what we were going through, and I think that was the best thing for me, because you learn the most when you're in the pit, right? And so that's what brought me to kind of change my whole, mind frame and the way I do things, and joined Wake Up Warrior, which I never thought I would do, is pay a business coach or a performance coach. I thought that was like the dumbest thing ever, and here I am paying this guy a lot of money, and pretty much changed my life, and it's the reason why we are here now. Yeah,
I could say it saved our marriage. Yeah. And I think that in some moments, it saved you from yourself. I feel like a lot of times we are our own worst enemy. I heard this thing the other day. It's like, you're really only in competition with yourself. If you're not outdoing yourself every month, like what are you trying to compare, right? Yeah. And I feel like you were in a place where you're just like, I don't even know what I am doing. Do I even like what I'm doing? Do I even like me? Do I even like her? And it really forced you to answer some questions and then make some decisions. And sometimes, like, that's hard to do until you're in a place of complete surrenderance, right? Like when you are at the bottom or the lowest of lows. I know I perform best when I am forced sometimes to make a decision, make a move, whatever that is. And I feel like just with using godly wisdom and acting with that in my heart and on my mind, I feel like I've been, I don't want to even say lucky, but I really chose wisely, I guess. And not everybody can do that. And so it's like being quick on your feet is one thing, but being quick on your feet and acting in wisdom is another. And I really think that, taking Deidre's lead on you need to pray for your husband, and then God just being so clear with me what that was and what that looked like, it's how it all worked out and was meant to work out. But if I wasn't going to have an obedient heart, there's no way that we would be where we are. And there's so many layers and things that led to this. But I can say for myself, and I think for you, like, this is the most fun I've had in my marriage. This is the strongest and most unified I've felt in my marriage. And that's with like just having a baby. Yeah. Like 10 months ago, like where we had Selah, and I think Bree was just mad when I breathed. Like, she's like, stop breathing. Yeah. Like, don't look at me and don't breathe by me. Yeah. Like, don't even, like, don't even look at me. So, I mean, to be able to be in the position we're at or in with our marriage and with everything, and be able to have 3 kids and to do the things we do, and take time for ourselves and all that. Like, it's pretty amazing, and it is possible to do it all, right? It's, everybody goes, it's too hard, it's too busy, it's not enough time. But if you make time and you make the effort, it's definitely Totally. It's all about prioritizing, and we made our life what we wanted a priority.
Yeah.
And another thing I can say about you and I that we do well is we do not waver. We don't compromise our wants and desires because of what the climate is in certain places. We definitely know who we are and are confident in that, and that helps us set the tone for everything, I feel like.
Yeah.
So I think in this case, for business and our marriage and just even interacting with our friends and our family, like we do have a leadership role there that we are held accountable by many people. And I think when you put yourself in that position too, like you not only want to succeed for yourself, but also for, you know, in a leadership sense, for all those around you who you want to love and see succeed also.
Yeah.
So, I think, you know, we kind of touched on, we had a third child and we knew that she was the final piece, the missing piece. And I think it's really cool to tell the story of her name. Actually, her name is Coda. And when we were in the hospital, it was like, okay, ladies, we need to sign this birth certificate. And I look over at Mark and I'm like, we need a name.
We are checking out of the hospital, and Lay's like, we need a name. You cannot take the baby out of the hospital without a name.
Pretty much. So we used to go to Carmel a lot, and there was a restaurant, butcher store, something, Italian deli down there named Coda. And we were just at the dinner table listing off all these names the night before I had the baby. And I said, oh, we could go with Coda. Remember that place in Carmel, whatever. And Mark's like, oh, yeah. And so we moved right along. And then in the hospital, he went back to that. He's like, what was that name of that place you said we liked? And when I mentioned it, he just like Googled the meaning of the name. And immediately he was like, that's it. It meant the final piece to a basic structure. And ironically, Coda was not only our last baby, my OBGYN that practiced for, 50 plus years, delivered over 14,000 babies. She was his last baby he delivered. So it was just perfect fitting for our family. And so now we're a family of 5. We have 2 dogs, a bunny, and we are in the market for a pony. I can't believe I'm saying this. And that's funny because Mark and I are not animal people, but our kids live for it. They love it. So
they don't do anything with them.
They don't do anything with them, but they love their pets. So we're entertaining it. We have this space. Why not? So we'll see how that goes. There might be a pony in the background next week.
So last question in the first podcast. What do you want people to get out of this podcast? Like what do you like? What are we going to be talking about? And what do you feel like they'll probably get out of it?
Well, I feel like somebody that's relatable, right? I just think the way that the world is, I had shared this the other day, the way that the world is, you can put a filter on anything. You can look a certain way in a picture. You can, I could change my dress color to pink or to red tomorrow if I wanted to. But just being real and honest and relatable to people, I think is going to be the most powerful thing in this podcast. If I could deliver anything, this is our real life. This is what we do on the daily. And I know a podcast isn't exactly something we do every day, but random improv things like this, we are pretty good at. And sharing my life story behind my chair, I feel like draws people's interest. They're like, well, what do you mean? You did this, this, and this, or, it all fell apart and you recovered. And, because I think people feel there's people out there at all phases of our marriage right now, and where they may not see hope for something better. And I would say not only did we recover, we're 10 times better than what we were. And so that people find hope in knowing like it can be done if you want it. Go all in though and commit. Because if you don't, you're only cheating yourself and the people around you.
I agree.
So I would say if I could offer anything to anyone, a glimpse of hope, and not everyone is perfect and you're not alone. And this is us working through it. And key is communicating. I'm really good at that.
That she is. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Episode 2 coming at you.